Well, hello strange people, welcome back to the channel. We're in East Cornwall today. What are you smiling about? We're in East Cornwall today, in a place I used to come and play as a child. And I'll let you have a quick look around. It's a lot more overgrown than when I was a child. This was all low heather with a few gorse bushes, but nothing like it is now.
Few dinosaurs.
A few dinosaurs, did you say?
Sorry.
She properly hates me. Coming up.
Rabbit's back. Let's go up there. You gotta be joking me. There's no way I can get up there.
Come on, you
I
can.
can't.
Yes, you can. Lift your leg up.
Don't come out. Oh, jeans on.
I told you not to wear those jeans.
Oh my god.
So this is the inside of the engine house. It's pretty much the only building that remains now of this mine. This is the Hingston Down Consols mine. And in here would have been the beam engine, which have been sort of the pump and hoist to get the miners up and down the shaft, which is actually just over there. We can't see it, it's overgrown and there's big fences around it. But yeah, the engine, big steam beam engine, would have been in here. What a wonderful building this is. This mine worked until roughly about 1926. Produced 64,000 tonnes of copper. I know Devon and Cornwall, West Devon and Cornwall are famous for its tin mining. And there was tin mined here from the 17th century, I believe, but they struck copper at some point in the 19th century, and it produced somewhere around the region of 64,000 tons of copper. So it was quite profitable at the time. A consols, or console mine, is consolidated mines, which means all the mines, well not all the mines, but several of the mines within this area on this hilltop were all part of the same company, so that they could share infrastructure and manpower as needed. What a beautiful place. Some of the roofs still exists up there. Of course, that huge oak beam, I presume it's oak. And these Gothic windows. What a wonderful piece of history. Hingston Down itself, where we are in East Cornwall, has a pretty long history. Not far from here, and these bricks would probably, almost certainly, I would have thought, been made there. Literally only a quarter of a mile along the top of this ridge was a brickworks, and the bricks from there went on to make St. Petersburg dockyard over in Russia. So if you'd like to comment, Vlad, and just say thank you, because it seems to be the in thing at the moment to say thank you. So if you could just comment and say thank you, that would be to the Cornish people, that would be a very nice thing for you to do. She doesn't quite realise how deep that is, and she's bouncing on it and it's moving.
Wow.
Well, carry on, it will save me digging.
Oh, that's so mean. How are you going to eat food tonight if I'm not there to cook it?
You have a valid point.
There you go.
Raw, I suppose. I did mean to say, the building behind me, you can actually see these buildings everywhere from Canada to Australia, South America and South Africa. Because when the mining ended, something like 30 or 40% of the Cornish population left and went to these places. So you can actually find buildings like this existing, well, all around the world. But that one is a pretty fine example. The shaft itself, I don't know if you can see it, is just over there behind all that fencing. I believe that's called Bailey's shaft. Right, onwards. So my mate Ginge called me a hillbilly and a redneck the other day. As I said, I was brought up in the village just over the brow of this hill. We're about roughly around about 900 feet up here, so it's pretty high. One of the higher villages in Cornwall, that's for sure, but not the highest by any means. Beautiful views all the way down the Tamar Valley to Plymouth, which isn't such a nice view, and of course over to Dartmoor, which hopefully the GoPro showed up. Sadly, the village has grown exponentially since I was a child, and some would say I was dragged up here. Someone that's sitting down there at the moment, and you can actually see some modern houses from up here now. It's probably 2 or 3 times the size of when I grew up here. Happily, this is one of the more peaceful spots. Still a beautiful place to come. So when I was growing up, there was a story that there was a famous battle up here. And indeed, there may have been. There may have been. Because in 838, a great hostile fleet came to the land of the West Welsh. This is what it says in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, and made alliance with them. And together they waged war upon King Egbert, king of the West Saxons. 838, a fair old time ago, wasn't it? And the Battle of Hingston Down has historically always been placed up here. And I don't believe a word of it. There are two other sites that it could have been. One is a place called Hingston Hill, which is just over the valley and on the moors. If you've ever been to Down Tour up on Dartmoor, the hill that runs away from it towards Nuns Cross Farm actually is Hingston Hill, with a stone row and everything. And I don't think it's there either. Now, I've got very good reasons why I don't believe the battle took place up here. Firstly, Egbert had been to Canterbury and Winchester earlier in the year, and it's thought to have been based in Crediton, which is 50 odd miles away from here. And it clearly says in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles that the West Welsh and Vikings allied and waged war on King Egbert. Now, I don't know, I'm no expert, but if you wage war on somebody, you don't wage it from inside your own borders. And to be honest, West Devon was definitely still within the Dumnonia, the Cornish borders. So there's one good reason why I don't think Egbert came all the way from Crediton to fight here. 50 odd miles, either around the top of Dartmoor or across Dartmoor, which would have been no place to take an army. And it just doesn't make any sense. The Vikings are said to have come up the Tamar River and left their boats at the place which is now called Calstock, and then come up here to meet the Cornish. I don't see that happening. I don't see it happening, because Egbert would have been forced to come this direction, which would have meant their boats would have been between their army and the English army. That really doesn't make any sense. The Vikings aren't stupid, and they wouldn't have done that. They came here to raid and pillage, and they wanted nothing more than to take away the goods that they'd captured. Plympton was certainly a place of interest at the time. It was fairly wealthy. If they'd come up the Tamar River, they'd have just gone across to Plympton and raided Plympton. Although, again, it may well have been in Cornish hands. We really don't know. So that's another reason why I don't think. I don't actually think the Vikings came up the Tamar River. They may have stopped it on the Foy River, but for me, they came in on the Camel River, which is on the north coast. These Vikings came from Ireland. Of that we can be sure. Don't know who led them, but these Vikings came from Ireland. And it seems daft to me that they sailed all the way around the Cornish coast and up the Tamar River. That just doesn't seem right. I think this was well planned. They brought 35 ships apparently, which again, that's the same number of ships that are supposed to have defeated Egbert just 2 years previously in northern Somerset. Again, the way you read it, it could also have been in Dorset, but I don't know. Seems daft that there's two battles, one in 833 and one in 836, both containing 35 ships and both defeating Egbert. One of them's right, one of them's wrong. I think the 836 raid is probably right in North Watchet, is it, or somewhere like that, up in the north of sort of North Devon, Somerset area. So other reasons why. It isn't first mentioned until the late 1700s by Sir John Cole, who, you can't see it from here, but there's a point further on called Kit Hill, and on top of Kit Hill Sir John Cole built a folly called Danish Camp. It's supposed to replicate a Danish fort, camp, whatever. And he believed that this was the site of Hingston Down, and that was the Danish camp, or where the Danish would have camped. I think he's got confused, because in 997 the Vikings actually did come up the Tamar River and they raided Lidford and Tavistock Abbey. And I think the fact there is a combe down there called Danes Combe, and at the bottom of which is where they're supposed to have put their boats, which is very close to Calstock, and they're supposed to have come up there and gone over to Lidford, raided Lidford, couldn't take Lidford because it was a fortified burh. It's the West Saxons' most westerly, or Wessex's most westerly burh. They couldn't take it, so on their way back they raided the abbey at Tavistock. So I think he's got confused with that, but ever since then the story of Hingston Down being here in East Cornwall has sort of stuck. Amanda's falling asleep on me.
It's too nice.
This battle is supposed to have finally defeated the West Welsh, the Cornish, and put an end to any resistance. And yet it wasn't for another 100 years that the Tamar was set as the Cornish boundary. And when Canute was king of England, he wasn't king of Cornwall, he wasn't king of Wales, and he wasn't king of Scotland. Now, they may have been client kingdoms, they may have paid Danegeld, but he didn't count Cornwall as part of his realm. So now we're in the 1000s, 150 odd years. It wasn't really until the Normans came and set up their Breton earls and what have you. Were they earls? I can't remember what they were, but they're Breton leaders in Cornwall, that you could possibly say that Cornwall was properly annexed. So where did the battle take place? Well, on the other side of Dartmoor, near a place called Morton Hampstead, there is another Hingston Down. Just for context, by the way, Hingston Down, Hengerston, is Stallion's Hill, basically. Hingston, something like that. Old English is not my forte. It's Stallion Hill. And there is one near Moreton Hampstead, which is, as I say, on the eastern side of Dartmoor, a lot closer to Crediton. If you were waging war, you would invade your the place that you're waging war on. You would not stay within your own boundaries. We will go to Hingston Down up near Moreton Hampstead, possibly even do a camp up there. Should we do a camp up there if we can? I'm not even sure. I'm not sure it's in the camping zone, but we'll have a look, see if it is. Do a camp up there. My theory is the Vikings came into the Camel River in North Cornwall, met up with the Cornish king of the time. That's another thing. Cornwall still had a king even after this battle. So pacified possibly by losing this battle, but they certainly weren't annexed into England. Anyway, my thought is that they came into the Camel, they marched down to what is now the A30, which was a Roman road, and they marched up the Roman road, which would have taken them around the top of Dartmoor. Any thought that they actually fought on Dartmoor at Hingston Hill, in my mind, is just rubbish. Any thought that they fought up here is just rubbish. You would take an army on the best route possible, and that best route would have been the old Roman road, the A30. Moreton Hampstead is only 5 or 6 miles from the A30. If you knew that King Egbert was coming with his army, you'd find yourself a defensive position possibly. So what better than then to get up onto Dartmoor, onto high ground. This ridge is 2 miles long. It culminates in a hill over there, as I say, Kit Hill, which is around about 1100 feet high. And as you can probably see here, this hill just carries on. It's wooded down there now. In those days it wouldn't have been so wooded. Well, probably wouldn't have been so wooded. This isn't really a place for a defence. You would have been able to see any army coming up on you, but once they got in the valley down behind you here, into the north or into the valley, you wouldn't know which way they were coming up the hill. This is an awful spot for don't forget, battles in these days were a few thousand men. They weren't, not even a big battle. It was a few thousand men. Wasn't tens of thousands. Anyway, that's my opinion. The Battle of Hingston Down never took place up here. It took place nearer Moreton Hampstead in East Devon. This is so overgrown to when I was up here as a child playing. Really? Yeah, it was like moorland. Yeah, but were they still using it then? No. Oh, the mine closed in 1926. There's a quarry on the other side of the hill. I had hoped to show you, but it's so overgrown now you can't even get close to it. There was a quarry not far from here as well, but that's been filled in. This is the old miners' track that brought you up from the village. down here is the old miners' track. Even that's overgrown now. Sad to see. We don't want to go that way, it'll take us miles out of our way. Yeah.
I don't know, do I?
No, I just wanted to see if it was still here. I just wanted to see. I'm on reminiscing. I'm reminiscing now. Not nosy. Just come across this little old building. No idea. I would have thought it had something to do with the old quarry that was here. As I say, there was an old quarry here, and it was a great little place to come and play. It's full of water. It's called Green Ponds, or we called it Green Ponds. On the back wall was carved the name of Mike Trebilcock. He's the only famous person to come from the village. And
did he carve it himself?
Did he carve it himself? No, I don't think he did. He might have done, but he scored in the FA Cup final in the 1960s, and I can never remember whether he scored for Arsenal or Everton. I'll have to look it up. I'll put it on the screen below. Can never remember. Arsenal or Everton. More buildings in there, look. I think. Yeah, there's another old building that's got lost to the weather. Somebody's built their camp down there as well by the look of it. Weather, time, I mean. When I was growing up, there was a beautiful house in here. I think it's long gone, but I'd like to see what's left just in the way of its gardens and what have you. I believe it was the mine captain's house. I'm not sure. Let's go in and see if we can find anything. Here's the gate. The way those trees are coming down over there, like, that's quite spooky. There are those new houses on about. I can guarantee you the view like that, none of them would be built for the locals. Affordable housing they call it. No, it's thick. Thick. It's what obviously was our old hedge at one time. Never mind. Missed it. Missed the cleavage as you were bending over.
Oh dear. Little thing.
Right. I think we'll leave the video here. Been nice to wander around and reminisce a little bit. But we need to get back because Amanda needs to feed me. We'll catch you on the next one, which I think may be a camp with Ginge or Ant. I haven't made up my mind which one I want to go to yet. I'm joking, lads. I can't remember which one of you said I'd come to visit first, but it'll definitely be one of those two. I'll catch you on the next one.